Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. We're continuing our study of the Gospel of Mark and by continuing on in chapter 7, and we are going to finish chapter 7. So we're going to begin with verse 31 through verse 37. Yesterday, or last time we were together, we had the episode with the Syrophoenician woman. It is the text in which Jesus seems to be at his most callous, telling a mother with a sick child that he's not going to heal her daughter, and calling her a lapdog. And yet he does heal her daughter, and he holds her up as an example for us, and he lets her have the last word in their exchange. And we talked about that yesterday. We won't rehash all of this. But the thing I want us to point out is that immediately after this, we have this story in which we see Jesus at his most tender and patient and caring, which is how we see him and who he is. And I think it's wonderful as a storyteller that Mark juxtaposes these two stories, because they just pique our interest and they keep us engaged, that the two are right there side by side in the text. He went again from the region of Tyre, came through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee within the region of Decapolis. So he's still in Gentile country, right? Still in Gentile country. Decapolis, the villages where, that area where he healed Legion. Okay. And where Legion has been preaching about Jesus. And they brought to him one who was deaf and who spoke with great difficulty, and they entreated him to lay hands upon him. And he took this person aside. He took him aside from the multitude by himself and put his fingers into his ears, and after spitting, he touched his tongue. Then, looking up to heaven, and with a deep groan, he said to him, Ephrathah, which means be opened. And his ears were opened, and the impediment of his tongue was removed. And he began to speak plainly. And Jesus gave them orders not to tell anyone. But the more he ordered them, the more widely they continued to proclaim it. And everyone was utterly astonished, saying, He has done all things well. He makes even the deaf to hear and the dumb to speak, the mute to speak. Such an amazing passage. We're just told in great detail how Jesus does this, and there's a reason. He doesn't have to do any of this, but I'm wondering, does the man know why he's there? He can hear, he speaks with difficulty, we know the mayhem that surrounds Jesus. So when they bring this guy to Jesus, does he know why he's there? I don't know, but I do know this: Jesus takes him away by himself, just the two of them, away from the mayhem, and calms the moment down. And I think Jesus is communicating to him in sign language. I think he's saying, and I think he's telling him what he's about to do. And then Jesus, he does something that is so significant, and that we could think about all of our lives, the rest of our lives, and just hear. He groans. He sighs. It means to groan in utter exhaustion. It means to be so tired and so burdened down that you can't breathe without groaning. And that's what he does when he looks up to heaven. And we can only begin to imagine everything that is communicated in that groan. And right then, right next to, this groan, this inaudible, which is so cool. It's not even a word, but it communicates so much. In the same way, Jesus has used sign language to communicate to this guy what he's about to do. He groans using a sound, an audible sound, which is not a word, to communicate so deeply to us what he's feeling in that moment. And then we get the word itself that he spoke in Aramaic, so we know exactly what it says. It's a miracle. It's such a miracle of I say this all the time. The true miracle is the text itself. We get so many levels of communication in this one story. We get Jesus speaking in sign language and then groaning and just communicating everything that's inside of him and everything he's feeling without even saying a word. And then we get Jesus' word, but not in translation. We get it. We get the sound of it as it came out of his mouth. And so in the same way, this man, we get to hear the same first word that he heard, exactly the way he heard it. And we get to be there when it happens. And if that's not an amazing gift to be thankful for, I don't know. I don't know what is. Okay. Well, I'm going to get myself together and we'll talk about chapter 8 next time. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word.